This is your brain. And this is your brain on ADHD. There's already two in there. Probably. Ooh, a piece of candy. Oh. Okay, just.
I got diagnosed very early.
Orbeez. Full to know. Like, what am I gonna do? What is something that I need to worry about?
Hi, Benny. Yes, I'm very early. Boga is so very cute. Go, go. Hi. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? Hello. How is everyone doing? How is everyone? Blah. Blah. How's everyone? Oh, Lord, the world is doomed. Why? Did I do something wrong? Sorry. I hope I didn't do anything wrong. Blah. Blah. Hey, guys. Just gonna answer me? You're just gonna sit there and stare at me? I stare at you, too. Stare. Stare. Staring at you. Staring at you. Sorry. Ah. Ba ba ba. Blam. Blam. Very much. Ba 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 ba. You guys awake now? Book, 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 book. You awake now? You awake now? You awake now?
Good morning, Queen of the Super Cute Dragons.
No. Not cute. Baby was up that late. God damn it, baby. Baby needed to stop. Well, I'm gonna be up like all day and some of the night during my subathon, so what can I say? You're welcome. What was I doing? I don't remember. There's something else I wanted me to watch.
This is your brain. And this is your brain on ADHD. Wait, so it turns out your boy has ADHD. Who would have guessed? I got officially diagnosed about a year ago now. The process for getting diagnosed was odd. I didn't really know what to expect when getting diagnosed, but I didn't expect it to include wires, that's for sure. By the way, two things. One, I am not a doctor, so always get a professional diagnosis if you suspect anything. And two, ADD is no longer a thing. It is all under ADHD now, with two flavors.
ADD and ADHD, kind of the same thing. So it makes sense that they probably got rid of ADHD.
There's the inattentive type and the hyperactive type. And apparently,
I have both.
Apparently, I am the inattentive type. So, all of this started with good old classic denial. I had a lot of ADHD symptoms for a long time, and we'll go over specifics later, but have you ever noticed in TVs and movies where ADHD is just like, ooh, a squirrel, ooh, a ladybug, ooh, a piece of candy? Well, that's only on the surface level of ADHD, and unsurprisingly, it is a much more complicated thing than popular media makes it out to be. Big surprise. I thought, I don't do that, and therefore...
One of the problems I struggle with is I have a hard time remembering to, like, talk to people and stuff, so, like, I'll stop talking to some of my friends for, like, weeks. And it's not on purpose. It's that my ADHD has, like, these little spaces where it just forgets people. And then it'll remind me later. It'll be like, oh, you haven't talked to that person in a while. And I'm like, what the hell? You know?
Or I don't have any ADHD, but one day I was watching goofy internet videos and saw something that was like, this video is very goofy and relatable. Allow me to just look down at what the creator wrote about the video and possible tags associated with this morsel of entertainment. I don't suspect anything. Orbeez. This probably doesn't mean anything. This started to happen more and more until I started to ask some serious questions about myself. And I'll tell you how I figured out that I have ADHD. But first, you don't like watching sponsorships. But what if you could watch an entire sponsorship segment in under 1 second? Introducing the All-at-Once-a-tron. Just get inside and I pull this lever and... well, Plan B. NordVPN is a virtual private network service that gives you privacy online.
Did you
If you're
just
looking
work
for a
that,
bunch of
man?
security while browsing the internet, VPNs are a great way to achieve that.
Just dead.
Using NordVPN encrypts your browsing
Instead of-
activity, so nobody knows who
instead
you
of
are
even
or where
opening
you're
it,
going.
they were like,
NordVPN can be used as an ad blocker, so you can get around annoying ads. every once in a while, I want to watch something that isn't available in my country. So I boot up Nord to bypass those stupid poo-poo region block content restrictions, and I get what I want. Go to nordvpn.com/icecreamsandwich to get a 2-year plan plus 1 additional month with a huge discount. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Thank you, NordVPN, for sponsoring this video. So after all of these coincidences, it's led me to think and reflect on a lot of things. There were a lot of memories that started to seem like
I got diagnosed very early. Anyway.
Signs more than just memories. Like forgetting to drink water for an entire day. Might
Oh, I do that.
be a sign of something and not just be a goofy little thing that I do sometimes. So I started to read books and watch lectures and learn as much as I could about ADHD. And the more that I did, the more that puzzle pieces started to click. These are things that I did that I thought were normal, but were actually signs.
That's why I feel bad about some of my friends who don't understand that I would honestly love to keep talking to them all the time. But, it doesn't quite work like that. Unless you're, like, constantly in my hemisphere. If you're constantly in my hemisphere, I'm able to remember you a lot better. Like, you're constantly talking to me, my brain will latch onto you, and I'll constantly talk to you. But if you're just quiet around me, sometimes my brain will literally just give me spaces of time where you don't exist. Then it'll be like, oh, that person exists. And I'm like, no! They're a friend, I need to talk to them more!
Of ADHD, having hundreds of tabs open at a time, constantly.
Morning,
to the point
Booker.
where 30 gigabytes
How's
of RAM
things?
is a necessity. Is something people with ADHD do.
I don't tend to open lots of tabs. I don't open lots of tabs. Well, I get to a high number of tabs when I'm doing things. But I like to compress them. In terms of, like, I like to close ones I'm not using anymore. Maybe that's just a habit I got used to doing.
Doing a task like locking a
I
door,
don't know.
but seconds later, you aren't totally sure if you locked the door, so you
Yeah. I've walked halfway to a location, realized, wait, did I lock the door? I need to lock the door. And I'll walk all the way back.
lock it another time or two. There's this thing I like to do when I'm alone, where I walk in circles for a couple of hours and I talk to myself. Don't judge me. I like it, but also apparently it's an ADHD thing. Reading paragraphs of books over and over, even though
I do that. I'm a speed reader too, so it annoys me. Like, my brain is hardwired to speed read. I'm like, did I read that paragraph? I need to read that paragraph again. Oh, this is weird. I don't understand. Let me go back. Did I read that paragraph? I need to read that paragraph again.
I'm
That's
very
me.
intentionally trying to read it, I have to do it multiple times. It took me ages to finish Hatchet. Ages! And it wasn't even that good. Going to do a task and forgetting what the task was on my way to do it because
My boss used to ask me, you doing alright? Because I'd be in the middle of doing something, then I'd just stand there. And they'd be like, they'd stare at me for a second. And then they'd be like, you doing okay, Boka? And I'm like, eventually I will be. I'm thinking of what I was doing.
I'm thinking of something in the meantime. Chronically. Like this happens every day, all day. Like this one time, Kelly wanted some chocolate and I was like, I can get you chocolate. And I went to the kitchen to go get chocolate. But from point A to point B, I just got distracted. And I kind of found myself holding chocolate. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I'm hungry for chocolate. And I eat it. And I get back to the room where Kelly was sitting. And she was sad because I was eating her chocolate. I don't know how to explain it. Other than, like, I didn't mean to do that. It just happened. And it happens a lot. Caffeine does not work on me and just makes my heart rate go up.
Yep. It's different for everyone. For me, it kind of works. It's like a very tiny bit. Ginseng actually works the best on me. That's why I drink Monsters. But also, like, boba teas work a little bit. Because they have, like...
Yeah, I'll sometimes have random thoughts just zip through my mind at times.
Contacting me is a nightmare and usually takes a couple of messages until I get around to it. Not doing things right up until the deadline. That one's a common one. And the list goes on. So after all of this reflection and learning, I have very strong suspicions that I have ADHD. So I had to get a professional to assess me and look at my brain. Oh God. The assessment included a bunch of questions, but the first part of it included this new test, which I think was called an EKG. They strap a bunch of wires to your head and measure your brain waves. The instructions were to stay still and do not move for 30 minutes. ADHD test. Stay still. 30 minutes.
That's gotta be the stupidest idea for an ADHD test. I'd be sitting there and be like, oh, we're done now, right? And they'd be like, no, stop moving. And I'm like, we're totally done now, right?
You already know the results. Yeah. I had ADHD, and I felt weirdly relieved. There has been a lot of frustration in my life because despite trying really hard to focus, I could only achieve half as much as other people. So despite still having issues with it, it feels good to know why. I never expected that was going to be a meaningful thing to me, but here we are. Anyway, after my diagnosis, there was talk about medication, and that did not go well, but I'm going to make a second video about that. I have an idea of what I'm going to say, but since we're entering medication territory, I want to try to be a little bit more thoughtful about how I go about the video. So, need a little bit more time. Thank you for your patience about it. I wish you the best. And thank you for watching. Oh, piece of candy. Hey, how you doing?
My thing is, I don't really... ADHD meds are kind of scary in that they mute you. Your brain gets a lot quieter, and it's never sat right with me. That's why I really don't take them. And then I stopped taking them when I was allowed to. Probably should have stopped taking them so early. And then sometimes I think I should have stayed on them, but it does make your mind very quiet. Which kind of bothers me.
But before we start, I just want to say that... just really quick, you should know. Okay, just really quick. It's good for you to know that what I'm going to say in this video is not to deter you or convince you of ADHD medication. This is just my experience, of which started out really good, but then quickly declined into stinky icky bad. In the last video, I figured out that I had ADHD because I had symptoms. Symptoms such as often has trouble holding attention on tasks, often does not seem to listen when spoken to directly, or is often easily distracted. You know, stuff like that. So what was the solution? Drug. In America, medication doesn't come cheap, so this wasn't like a just whatever decision. This sprouted from some real need. To the surprise of no one, ADHD brain isn't very productive. My thoughts either do not complete or just overlap with one another, and that's very annoying. It's a lot of chaos, and it can be really frustrating when I'm trying to focus. Hey guys, what is 2 plus 2? I don't know, probably 2? I think it could be 4. Who even made math? Yeah, it's probably just another 2. There's already 2 twos in there. Probably another 2, I bet. When will this be useful to know? Like, what am I gonna do with my life anyway? Like, what will the future hold? What is something that I need to worry about? Guys! What do you imagine it sounds like when we play 8 different trumpets randomly at the same time? Well, I wonder what we can find out. This happens when I'm talking to other people, and I could like forget their name. It happened in school and work, and I'm sure it's a big reason as to why I had to retake classes in high school. And honestly, I just want my hands on the wheel for once. And I was told that meds could be a way to achieve that.
It is. What I understand is different for everyone, but it made my brain scarily quiet.
Have you guys gotten any work done at all? Where's the guy in charge here? Oh my god. There's tons of medications to choose from. Adderall, Vyvanse, Ritalin, Concerta, and many others. For my
one of them I'm highly, like... Apparently meds that you have allergies to or whatever or some meds can activate very weirdly, and one of them made me go crazy. Like, it put all my thoughts on the outside. Like, I did anything that my brain started thinking of. Got in a lot of trouble that day.
First medication, I used Adderall. We started out really low, about 5 milligrams of Adderall. So, what does Adderall feel like? It takes a little bit to kick in, but when it does, I gain this strange ability. Just the ability to be able to. So you see, a lot of my unmedicated days goes like this. I will think of a thing to do, task A, but then my brain is like, yo, wait, there's this other thing you should do first, because it's probably gonna take, like, no time at all. And then that happens a couple times, and then I start on the least important task, get like halfway through it, take a break, forget about all of the other tasks, and then get distracted by anything else within my field of view, which, if I'm online, is infinity. Then the day is done, and I've made a laughably small amount of progress. When Adderall was introduced into my system, I was like, I should do task A. And then I did task A. The loop was gone. There was no sensation. It was just ability. So the meds were good for a while until they weren't. For good reason. But firstly, I'd like to thank you for willingly sitting down to listen to my sponsor.
Willingly,
NordVPN.
yes.
You're all comfortable?
Absolutely
You want anything?
willingly.
Snacks, water? You good?
Good? Don't anything?
Great. NordVPN is a virtual private network service that helps you protect yourself online. The internet is filled with infinite knowledge, but also people who want to track your data at every turn.
Infinite
NordVPN can help you stop that
knowledge.
intrusive tracking. Hey there, what's your phone number? I want to sell it. NordVPN also blocks malware so you can protect your
His head was
computer.
in the door.
I'm gonna click on this. You can also use NordVPN on so many devices. Your computer, your phone, your butt. No? Not your butt? Well, that kind of seems like an oversight, but whatever. Use promo code Ice Cream Sandwich to get a discount deal, plus 1 bonus month included. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Thank you, NordVPN, for sponsoring this video. So Adderall was good for a while until I started to realize that it wasn't doing what I wanted it to. I was able to do things, but I started to notice that it was only touchable and physical tasks. Like one day, I took my Adderall, started to get to work, and then I realized that I was just vacuuming, doing dishes, and cleaning up other general messes around the house because I could physically fix that stuff. But if I needed to sit and think about things, it was really hard. See, the ability to do a thing was gained, but I never got the ability to focus. And that was the core of my problem. So out goes the Adderall. So I talked to a friend who also has ADHD about this problem. After some chatting, he mentioned he was taking Vyvanse, which is supposed to work differently than other meds for ADHD. It's a slower burn, and that can help in different ways for different people. Specifically for him, it helps him a lot with focus, which is what I wanted.
Yeah, Adderall is great, but also you're effectively taking meth.
Huh.
You might want to talk to your psych about Vyvanse if you're looking for something more mellow.
Considering my goals and my general aversion to meth,
I had
that
heard that Adderall is just basically
seemed
that.
like a good idea. So I did bring up the idea of Vyvanse to my psych, and we decided to give it a go. Vyvanse felt way different than Adderall. When I took it, there was absolutely more focus. Like, way too much focus. So comes around the first day of me trying out my new medication. It takes about an hour to kick in, so when I first tried it, nothing happened for a while. But then it hit. And when it did, I was watching a show about space flight, and it became very easy to follow along. Instead of consuming multiple forms of media at once, I was keenly aware and focused on this space documentary. But that focus plus curiosity about spaceflight led me into learning and researching the science of rocket flight and orbital mechanics. Cool. But that's not what I needed to do for the day. I was so enthralled with the information that by the time the medication wore off, the day was over and I did no work. I figured out the problem was I was able to work with incredible focus. I just needed to do the right task when the medication began its effects. Easy. I thought this was great. How foolish of me. If I'm not doing what I need to be doing while the meds are focusing me on the wrong thing, then it's not working. I would wake up, I'd take a pill, be distracted, then be locked into that thing I was distracted on for the whole day. So I had days that were crazy productive or days that were totally shot. It was all just a gamble. It felt like I was so close to getting rid of my distractibility,
that's probably
so
why
I
they
kept
didn't give me
convincing
that to
myself that
me.
it was just a matter of getting my habits right. Then some weird stuff started to happen. One day
'Cause
I picked my
went through a
meds, and
lot
I'm
of
working
them.
on one of many things I'm not supposed to be working on, and then I started to feel out of breath. I immediately think it's COVID, so I go to do tests, talk to doctors, but COVID doesn't show up. Did you take a COVID test? Yeah. Is it COVID? No. So I'm not sure what this is.
At least it
The
doesn't
feeling
make
was
you
like
scream,
if I
cause
had
then it
just
would be called
stopped
Adderall.
jogging,
Adderall.
but constant.
Shut up!
I had a feeling that it was the meds that were causing this problem. But I feel like I was so desperate to have the medications work that I was in denial that it was the meds that were causing the problem. So I just kept taking it. And then I did something really stupid. I was supposed to have a conversation with my psych in the future, and I could have just contacted him sooner and talked about these symptoms. But then I waited until I got really bad. I was having headaches. I could hardly sleep. One day I couldn't wait anymore. The symptoms got really bad, and I tried to contact him, but he was out of town and unreachable by this point. And so I did a really bad thing that you are never supposed to do. Do not do this ever. I stopped taking the meds. And I'm very thankful that I had no adverse reactions to this, but for me, it worked.
It is dangerous, very dangerous to just stop taking medicines, especially like ones that affect your brain. Very dangerous. Usually you should just, when you can, talk to the doctor. And usually they'll try to either wean you off as quick as they can, which usually involves like half doses, so that your brain doesn't like freak out. Sometimes it's like a medicine that you could just stop taking, but you don't want to make that gamble. Trust me, as someone that takes antidepressants, I know, like, it will frick you up if you just stop taking medicines.
Out. And after a couple of days of not taking the meds, I was fine. So that's my experience with ADHD medication. I'm off meds now, and I'm all good, but now I'm kind of back to square one. I think the moral of the... Whoa, God. I almost dropped my phone. I think the moral of the story here is do not be tunnel visioned on results like me. If you're having a bad experience with medication, talk to your medical professional. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to unsubscribe. Wait.
Wait. Oh, that's funny. I like them. Bam. I don't want to watch some other stuff. I'm so jealous of this Expedition 33 now. Like, so many people are like, oh my god, it's amazing. Ah!